my childhood is very, very dark. I suffered an enormous amount of sexual abuse, an enormous amount of physical abuse, an enormous amount of psychological abuse. I often tell the story, relay the story that, at a very young age, I was locked in a box for 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 days at a time, or I wasn't fed, I wasn't given any water, and I'd literally come out covered in my own urine and my own feces. And so my earliest childhood memories of my mother sticking me in a corner with a feces-covered diaper in my face at 2 years old to teach me to potty train me. And she, as a child, I reached up to touch a stove, and in a screaming rage, she told me, "You wanna feel what it's like to be burned?" And she poured a pot of boiling water down my back, and my back is all scarred up, and I've got it tattooed. And that's not even the worst part, right? The worst part is, at a very young age, the programming. What I mean by that is we develop our personalities at a very young age, and I know this now, didn't know this then. She would say things to me like, "You're nothing. You're useless. Nobody's ever going to love you. I should have had that abortion. I wish you were dead. You're just like your father, and I wish he was dead too. No, you're never going to be anything. Nobody's ever going to love you. Why do you even exist?" These are the things that were put in my head at a very young age. One of the things that I like to state categorically and definitively is none of that stuff made me an alcoholic. But I'm of the belief system that what alcohol and drugs saved my life. I got high the first time at a very young age, 6, 7, maybe 8 years old. And what happened for me with the drugs and the alcohol was those voices in my head stopped. Like, it numbed the pain to make life bearable, because life was unbearable to me. I believed the things that I was told. I believed the things that I was programmed. And by the time I was like 7, 8 years old, I was literally stealing old ladies' purses to get high. I had a friend that was older than me, had a mini bike, and I would ride on the back of the mini bike. And on the 1st and the 15th, Narragansett Boulevard in Providence, Rhode Island, there was an Almax, and I would steal old ladies' purses to buy drugs, to numb the pain. And again, none of that makes me an alcoholic or a drug addict. What it does is it's a breeding ground. And at some point in my life, I crossed that imaginary line that, alcoholics and drug addicts talk about, where the alcohol and the drugs were no longer my solution, but they were the problem and my master. And it was downhill from there, I don't remember a lot of normal childhood. I didn't have a lot of normal childhood. I grew up on the streets. I grew up on the street corners, idolizing the people with money, the drug dealers, the guys with the nice cars.